All right, let's talk about some more transformations. So here, we're going to look at two things specifically. Translations, horizontal translations and vertical translations. So the thing we have to do is we have to look at what number is being added or subtracted. Here, we're subtracting. Here, we're adding. Both of these do something different to the function. Since we are subtracting, what do we have to do? Well, if we're subtracting from the y, that means our y values go down 2. So this is actually a vertical translation down 2. So we're literally going to do that. Move each point down 2. 1, 2. I have to make more points. 1, 2. And our graph connects like this. All we did was we vertically shifted our graph down 2. All right, since this is addition, and we are doing it inside parentheses, that means we are shifting it to the left. So that is now a horizontal translation left 1. So how does that look on the graph? Well, we shifted each point to the left 1, to left 1, to the left 1, and our new graph looks like this. So what's our new tables look like, though? We have to be able to make tables. So let's create our tables down here. I'm going to go ahead and make all the original function tables and then show how we modify to get our new ones. So our new function table now becomes two minus 2 is 0. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. These points also match up with a graph as well. What about over here? So our original, to finish that off, if we had done it this way, x plus 1, that would increase our x values by 1. So our new x values would be negative 1, 1, and 3. Well, negative f of negative, or f of x plus 1, f of negative 1 would be 1. F of 1 would be 1. F of 3 would be 3. Okay, so our new table would be x negative 2, 0, 2. F of x plus 1, 1, 1, 3. Or you could use the values that we created when we just shifted it, which is negative 3, 2, negative 1, 0, and then 1, 2. Let's look at another one. Now we are multiplying either inside parentheses or outside parentheses. Now there's a very important point that I'm going to touch on here. So let's kind of look at some tables and some graphs, and we'll look at it together. So here, we're going to start with this one. What do you think this is? If we're multiplying by a 2 on the outside, that means that we're definitely doing some kind of shift away from the x-axis. We're shifting something vertically because it's outside. That means we are going to stretch it vertically by a factor of 2. Let's look at the values. We'll use our old table and make our new table. Okay, So negative 2, 0, 2, 2, 0, 2. We're going to double our y values. So our new y values are 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 2 is 4. So what do we double here? What is really being doubled? That's the question. Are we doubling the shape? It's not like a triangle or something where we can see a clear doubling of size. So what is the thing that is really being doubled here? Well, here's what you can do to try to see to make sure that your graph is aligning with what's going on here. Well, if I'm doubling it, that means I'm doubling the distance that the points are from the x-axis. You see how the distance here is 2 from the x-axis for this point? It's 0 from the x-axis at this point, and here it's 2 away. Well, if it's 2 away, to double it, that means it would be now a total of 4 away. And here, it would be a total of 4 away. So what the reality is, the thing I'm doubling is just the distance from the x-axis. So this is doubling the distance from the x-axis. What's this going to do? Well, it's going to do something to distance from the what? Distance from the y-axis. Let's see how it works. We're going to make another table over here as well. Pick negative 2, 0, 2. Then we're going to pick my f of x values, plug it in here. Then I have f of 2x, but I need to do something first. I actually need to do 2x. Whoops! We never make mistakes. Mistakes will help us grow. 2x is actually negative 4, 0, 4. Well, what is f of 2x? Let's look. F of negative 4 is 4. F of 0 is still 0. And then f of 4 is 4. Now let's plot these new points. Negative 2, comma 4. 0, 0. 2, 4. So, remember the other one we were talking about distance from the x-axis? Because it's getting either closer and closer to the x-axis or farther and farther from the x-axis. This one has to do with getting closer and closer to the y-axis or farther away from the y-axis. Well, how do we literally see that? Well, this point was 4 units away at this spot. It was a total of 4 units away, and so is this point. It was 4 units away. Now, since the scale factor is 2, in parentheses, it's actually compressing by a scale factor of the opposite, 1/2. Well, is that what happened? Well, the distance was 4. Now it's 2 away from the y-axis. Would you say that it multiplied the distance by 1/2? Well, 1/2 times 4 is 2. So if this distance is 4, half that distance would also be 2, and that's exactly what happened. So this scale factor is really just taking the distance away from the axis, either dividing it by 2, or it would be, like here, multiplying by 2. So here, it's all about distance from the x-axis. Here it's all about distance from the y-axis. Let's look at the next one. Now this graph, okay, has 2 transformations. So the way it's written looks a little funky. So we are going to change it to make it look a little clear for us. I'm going to make it look like this. Why am I able to do that? Simply because they're equivalent. The negative is actually belonging to the x because the x is negative, and we're really just adding 2. These are equivalent. Okay? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do this part. Plus 2 means we are moving it to the left. 1, 2. So first is a horizontal translation. Left 2, comma, moving a left 2, moving it left 2. So this is my first part of the transformation. And then this part here is negative. So it's inside parentheses. We're doing it to the x values. That means the x values are going to switch signs. So instead of being a negative 2, it's now going to be a positive 2. You really can't take a negative of 0. And this is going to be, instead of being a negative 4, is now going to be a positive 4. What's happening here is the signs of the x values are changing. If it had been negative f of x, the y values would change sign. So we reflected it over the y-axis. And there we go.